Look at us. You keep coming back week after week, and now I feel like we are starting to get to know each other. So that's what it's all about. But you've already heard me talking about how Long Beach has this $10 billion development project that's actively transforming the city right now. But that's really not even the craziest part that I want to talk about today, because while some of these neighborhoods are somewhat staying relatively flat, there are others that are seeing almost double-digit growth in real time that are just a couple streets away. And that's really not even the most important part, or most interesting part rather, because crossing just one neighborhood line in Long Beach can really make the world of difference when you are looking to buy a property. We're talking about some markets and areas where you have amazing value in a context that some people don't even pay attention to. In this video, my goal is for us to dive into the neighborhoods that are absolutely crushing it this year, and I'll show you exactly where the smart buyers are flocking to, even in the suburban pockets that will give you the best bang for your buck. And in the end of all of this, I want to talk to you guys about what factors you should consider when you are deciding which areas are the best for you, that'll get you the good deals, and it will really match the lifestyle that you are really looking to have for yourself. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's put things into context for a second, because at the time of the making of this video, many of us have heard the stories going around the country where some markets are dropping in price. People are concerned about the value of the properties. The truth is, the market in California is cooling, but prices are still stable. Although this is all really dependent from neighborhood to neighborhood, because again, while prices are stable, you are seeing how there are some neighborhoods that are impacted more than others. And the neighborhoods that we are talking about today are the ones that are not only retaining value, but I really do believe they have a lot more room for growth. And families are really looking for that sweet spot between the amenities that they're looking for and properties that have character. These suburbs that we're gonna talk about are building their own momentum, but the real question is how. And for our first one, we're gonna see an example of smart development. They're investing in a community that's positioning itself strategically based off of everything that's going on around it. The first one on our list, and this is a little independent city. While it's not technically Long Beach, it is making some big waves that nobody saw coming, and that is Signal Hill. Signal Hill is one of those great examples that proves that sometimes the best opportunities are hiding right in plain sight. Yes, Signal Hill is an independent city that is completely surrounded by Long Beach, but it does do a good job of keeping its own distinct identity. But right now, Signal Hill is going through a pretty significant transformation, and what makes Signal Hill interesting is that the average home, for example, is trading around $650,000. This includes condos as well. The kicker here is that we are seeing around 8% growth year over year for the Signal Hill area. So this combination of an accessible price point in addition to the growth makes this a very unique and interesting opportunity that shows that there is potential for properties with great deals. But even right now, at the time of the recording of this video, you could find a 2-bedroom, 2-bath property condo that's selling in around the mid 500 range. And then conversely, on the other side, you could find a 4-bedroom house that's around 2,500 square feet that's trading around the 1.2 range. The development around here is taking active steps to change Signal Hill from having its oil production roots to something that's more residential. And the state housing mandate for Signal Hill, requiring it to build up to 500 units of homes by 2029, is really the main driver for why we are seeing this change happening in real time. What are some of the major projects that are reshaping this? For one, we have the Heritage Square, which is bringing a mixed-use residential commercial project, and this includes the building of townhomes, single-family homes, and a master plan that does include a new outdoor theater and community facilities. And this project is set to be completed by 2027. But the big one is the town center development. And this is going to create one of those central gathering places that has homes and retail community spaces. This is really what you want to see from a community like this one. So between this and all the other stuff happening around Long Beach, this is going to make a huge impact. This is a smart approach for Signal Hill because they're increasing the density while they're preserving the community's character. And that's just, I think, one way in which Signal Hill is showing that there's real value that's still to be unlocked. But this is our first stop, and the story does get even better. So we're gonna keep it rolling to our next neighborhood, which is also proving that real character also does a great job of driving real growth. Okay, so Wrigley, this is a good one because Wrigley represents this authentic suburban charm while having direct urban access that's really important for families today. Fun fact, this community was named after the gun tycoon William Wrigley Jr. I know I mentioned this in the previous video, but for those of us who are recently joining us, had to add that in here. Also, when you come to Wrigley, what you'll find a lot of are these beautiful Spanish style homes that were built between the 1920s and the 1930s. And really why I love Wrigley, especially for first-time home buyers, is because the average price point, median price point, just sits just below the average for the citywide kind of numbers at around $800,000. And it really ultimately is a great middle ground between accessibility, genuinely authentic charm, and wonderful community that lets you get a great property without overspending, which I think is really important for a lot of first-time home buyers. Its location is really where it shines. Being next to the 405 freeway, the 710 freeway, it makes it so it's really ideal for people who are commuting, especially if you're someone who has to go back and forth between LA or even Orange County. This puts you kind of at the center of it all. Now, what you're also going to see is how unique this community is. And the sense of community is really one of the strongest parts about it. Part of the reason why that is the case is because the Wrigley Association meets regularly, they plan community events, they give their neighbors a reason to get together. Veterans Park is kind of a central hub of the community that also hosts a lot of sporting youth events and community gatherings. And I keep mentioning this authentic, family-friendly charm. You know, I was just there for the July 4th weekend, and that's really what radiates all throughout the residential core there. Another thing that you'll notice are these micro art galleries. So there's Gallery 17 and Gallery 23, which are these two solar-powered micro galleries along Eucalyptus Avenue. And they were originated by this artist named David Clark. Follow him on Instagram at Gallery 17LB, by the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing on the day-to-day. So if you're exploring Wrigley, definitely check that out. I think another interesting thing as well is that Wrigley has two hospitals that are situated right in and next to Wrigley. Actually, I'm only really mentioning this because one of our viewers mentioned it in a comment saying that we should highlight this for some of the nurses who are considering the area. So there you go. There you go. That is maybe something else that you should also be aware of. Also nice to know that that access to healthcare is readily available. But all of that to say, between the historic charm, the location, and just the accessibility of the price point, the community nature of it, I really believe that Wrigley is one of those great opportunities that would let you take advantage of everything that Long Beach has to offer. Okay, hold the phone one second. Before we jump into our next neighborhood, I want to tell you something. So whether you are stumbling upon this video or you've been a part of this community, I just want to invite you into what this channel is really about, because what we do here is really about building connections. So I've been blessed to work with amazing families, and I'm just really excited to bring this same level of service to my people on Long Beach. This is why we're diving into all these neighborhoods the way we are. I have a background in finance and accounting, working as a CPA. I even did some work in TV and film entertainment, and now I get to bring all of my experiences together and helping people like you with what's oftentimes their biggest financial transaction, which is buying and selling their homes. And part of how we do that is by offering these neighborhood breakdowns every single week, giving you guys the market insights that you need to equip yourselves with to make the best decision. So if you want more of this, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification button, and let's make sure to build this thing one neighborhood at a time. Okay, let's get back to the video. Okay, so for our next pocket, we got Los Altos. There's a good chance you probably heard of it, and it's no secret, but Los Altos represents really some of the better, nicer options for suburban living on the east side of Long Beach. There you'll find larger homes, spacious lots, great schools, which is really a large part of the appeal for the folks that come here seeking to live in this area. And this really represents a combination of quality, location, that really does a good job of driving and commanding these top prices. The price range here really depends on what you're looking for, but we'll find anything from the $900,000 range to the $1.5-ish million range. Active listings will go anywhere from 3 to 5 bedrooms on average with up to 10,000 square feet for the lot sizes. And really what you'll find that will differentiate Los Altos compared to some of the other suburban options is these aren't cookie cutter homes. You'll find these quality features with nice chef's kitchens, these hardwood floors, top-notch appliances, and really the attention to detail that you want from construction that creates the nice feeling when you're walking in. I would say location is the other advantage here. Living here allows residents to have access to Long Beach's best spots, including the Walter Reed Pyramid, and then still being relatively accessible to everything else, both north and south of where it's situated. It's really a wonderful pocket. And also the other thing that we're seeing, which is why it's in this video, is its propensity for holding value retention. Because between the parks and the schools, it has a natural flow for these long-term families that want to stay here and have the peace of mind enjoying the benefits that come with all of it also. Before we go even further than that, go ahead and drop a comment below telling us a little bit more about what neighborhood is your favorite. I wanna hear more about what you guys think, what you guys are feeling. Sometimes you guys have different feelings than I do, so I wanna hear from you guys. Anyways, all that to say, Los Altos shows us how there is a pocket in Long Beach that is a little bit higher in price point, but still does a really good job of retaining value. And I believe because of those factors that we discussed, that it still has a lot of upward appreciation to go. Okay, so now that you've got a good glimpse of some of the next level areas that you should really consider living in Long Beach, it's time to understand why there's real serious potential that I see happening in 2025 and beyond. One thing that I think is gonna continue to have a huge impact is the transportation connectivity. That's definitely a huge factor. The A-Line light rail system connects Long Beach to downtown LA and to Pasadena, and it carries over 15 million passengers every single year. And this connectivity is super important because it gives commuters the possibility of living where they want. They can reach their jobs across regions more easily, and it really does commute reduce times. For example, you can travel from Wrigley to downtown LA in around 30 to 40 minutes. Another factor that definitely plays its role as well, especially depending on the community you're part of, are the educational opportunities that add to the appeal of Long Beach. So Long Beach Unified District is vast, and it serves the suburban communities with some standout institutions. So there's Naples Elementary, there's Gant Elementary, Newcomb Academy. These are all schools that provide really strong foundations for younger students and have definitely played an integral role in why people have chose to move to the area. Another thing that is noteworthy that people consider also are the parks and recreation facilities that add to people's quality of life. This is a big reason why a lot of people also move to suburban areas, because they want to be a part of communities that really give them optionality for how they can enjoy their day-to-day. It creates recreational opportunities all throughout the city. Okay, so the development pipeline here in Long Beach really just shows that we're just getting started. For example, there are 1,300 new units that are being planned throughout the area, like the Jefferson Long Beach Housing Project, which is bringing 270 units of housing to downtown by 2025. But this is not what's most interesting, okay? The thing that I think is gonna really move the needle forward is what's called the Zone In initiative that could really have the longest and biggest long-term impact. So the Zone In is really just the city's way of updating the zoning rules. And this change is really what's gonna allow for there to be that many more housing units built. At the same time, it is going to prioritize keeping the character of these neighborhoods intact. And this balanced approach, I think, is really what is going to be super necessary to make sure that we can increase the housing stock while maintaining what keeps these communities special and what they are. To put this into perspective, Signal Hill, for example, the 210-acre development, it represents 15% of the entire city. So a lot of it is being reimagined. A significant part of it is being reimagined. Their goal is to add housing units while creating the walkable mixed-use area without compromising the core of what makes Signal Hill Signal Hill. We are going to talk a little bit more about how everything that we saw supports the housing boom, tying it all together, because all these factors really point to the continued momentum in the Long Beach suburbs. The first thing is strategic location always drives value. Like I said before, location's key, and Signal Hill, what makes that interesting is that it is centrally located. It's positioned by a lot of other very prominent neighborhoods as well. Wrigley, for example, also has really great freeway access. Los Altos, established area. So these are things that impact people's commutes, people's sense of desirability, the amenities, the parks, the community spaces, all things that are gonna play a role in really determining how something will continue to have upward trajectory. Then when we have balanced development, which is also gonna help to separate winners from the rest, right? We wanna know that the areas that we're gonna live in have the things that we want around us. Neighborhoods that also have certain amenities while keeping character, they do a really good job of attracting new people, more people. It gets even more interesting when you think about that. That's where community comes from. People recognize there's a fabric there that they wanna be a part of. And these neighborhoods, they do their best jobs of maintaining value over time. This is the social infrastructure that directly plays a role in creating property value. It's not something that you can really identify maybe with a number, but these are the things that establish something that's just intangible. When you have the local coffee shop, the local church, the local fabric, whatever it is, these are the things that help impact property value as well. And then lastly, housing diversity attracts different buyer segments. Neighborhoods that have different property types, sizes, prices, they tend to attract more buyers. Now, of course, some of these things are going to act as a constraint to prevent some people from wanting to even enter or consider it, but these are things that open up the playing field to a lot of folks. And I really believe that for all of these reasons that we've talked about today, that these factors reflect the fundamental needs for buyers in this market. I think the main point here is that the Long Beach suburbs really are experiencing some interesting localized growth. And as you've seen here, each neighborhood brings different advantages, different styles, different flavors. Although I will say, I think Signal Hill, even though it's not technically Long Beach, it really is showing that it has a lot of potential to see some unique growth from all the things that we talked about today. If you are ready to explore these booming Long Beach suburbs or any really other opportunities in the surrounding LA market as well, I'm here to help you guys. Look, so whether you are a first-time home buyer looking for the best bang for your buck, or you just want to identify the best of what Long Beach has to offer you, we got you. Just email us at tedrosteam@gmail.com and we'll send you our guide, and we will serve as your guide to help you go step by step to finding the perfect fit for you. Look, ultimately, I am passionate about the people that we serve, and my wife and I, we identify as encouragers. We're self-identifying encouragers, and really what that means for us is we've built our life around our faith, our family, our friends, and we want to see the best in people. We believe that there's more for people, and this applies for real estate too. And this is how we want to help you along your journey whenever you're ready. So thank you for watching. Subscribe here if you haven't already, as we dive deeper every single week into all things Long Beach and LA, where we help you believe for more. Peace.